There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of beings that wander Azeroth, ranging from the realistic to the fantastic. Forest bears and crag boars, to aquatic murlocs and ogres, to even majestic dragons and powerful liches. This iconic world is a quintessential fantasy landscape, and yet there is one creature noticeably absent: mermaids, or merfolk. Sure, the Naga are a recurring presence in coastal areas, but they're more akin to scaly reptiles, far removed from the typical imagery of half-fish, half-human forms we're familiar with. Perhaps this is one of the few mythical beings that were just left out of the lore. Or maybe there's something more to discover here. This is a case for the lost mermaids of World of Warcraft. And while nothing in this case is certain, I'm here to present a possible scenario that connects with the established lore from the early era of the game. I want to emphasize I will not be covering the very limited clues from the modern Battle for Azeroth expansion, and I plan on staying committed to the lore of the so-called original trilogy, especially Classic. With all that being said, let's get right into it. High atop the snowy peaks of Northrend, the Titan stronghold of Ulduar has weathered countless storms. Established ages ago when the Titans first arrived on Azeroth, this sprawling city is both a fortress and a prison, a base for the once noble servants known as the Keepers, as well as the eternal vault of the sinister old god Yogg'Saron. In the deepest levels of this place, within the Hall of Memories, and upon the very descent into madness, are a set of beautiful stained glass displays. Some of these depict what can only be the old gods themselves, with their distinctive many eyes and teeth, others tranquil patterns of flowing seascapes, but the most striking panes are the focus of today's video: the mermaids. Along the majestic hallways and alcoves of this area, explorers can encounter a trident-wielding merman, a female mermaid, and a display showing two inquisitive children with fish-like tails. These pieces are so vibrant, so eye-catching, that it's hard not to notice them. But for all their grandeur, we don't truly know the history behind them. In terms of actual evidence for mermaids, this is it, and these panes are the only imagery we get of such beings ever existing. It is only through environmental storytelling and examining the details of this art that we can begin to piece together a lost narrative. Let's begin with the stained glass itself. With it being in the most ancient depths of Ulduar, likely crafted in conjunction with the prison itself, this means the mermaids were likely present during the ordering of the world, when the old gods and the elementals were sealed away from the surface. This was the same time period when the Forge of Wills, a massive set of machinery located in Ulduar and the Storm Peaks, was activated to form massive numbers of Titan-forged troops to serve in this ancient war alongside the Keepers. These soldiers, the predecessors to humans, dwarves, and gnomes, among others, had skin of metal and stone, made in the likeness of the godlike titans themselves. The stained glass art depicts the mermaids as having a golden complexion, and while this could be just a stylistic choice, I believe it is more likely a clue that these mermaids were perhaps another order of the Titan Forged, better suited for aquatic combat and exploration. Why would the Keepers have a need for such creatures? Consider the time period on this ancient Kalimdor, a chaotic landmass enveloped by corruption and surrounded by an eternal sea. With several of the old gods' territories brushing up against the coast, I think it is a certainty that some aspect of darkness was present underwater, extending out into the vast oceans of Azeroth. The mermaids of the Titanic legions would be responsible for cleansing these unknown regions, going where few others could travel to extinguish the corruption, likely encountering horrific old god creations and chaotic water elementals as they went. While we have no evidence one way or another, it is possible the serpent-like dead Goliaths in Desolace were examples of foes driven to the surface by the mermaids, or were perhaps just old god minions who were defeated here long ago. I want to note it seems unlikely these creatures were on the side of the Titans, as we see exiled necromancers congregating here, likely due to some lingering dark energy from a time long ago. So we've established a possible origin and reason behind why these mermaids came to be on Azeroth. But where did they go? And why do we not have any other evidence of them in-game today? Let's return to where the artwork can be found, the Hall of Memories. We do not see any other races present here besides the mermaids. The ancient Vrykul, dwarves, and mechanomes are absent, meaning there must be some sort of significance with memory or perhaps loss associated with the mermaids during this time. One explanation could be that these soldiers were corrupted and used as weapons by the horrors they sought to destroy, and there is some evidence to support this. Farther down the descent toward Yogg'Saron's prison, there is a curious stained glass pane that shows some sort of creature with dark tendrils that you could say is similar to a mermaid, but it could be some other servant of the old gods as well. The placement of some of the deeper glass panes is also important. Notice how the Hall of Memories isn't actually supposed to connect to the prison. A pane was broken through, and the path down to the bottom is fragmented and cuts through a few separate rooms haphazardly. In my opinion, this sealed door here, at the 9 o'clock position on the observation ring, was originally connected down to the prison, but the Serenite blood of Yogg'Saron has warped these lower passages. With the Twilight's Hammer cultists invading Ulduar, through the Hall of Memories was perhaps the least protected way down to their master. You'll notice the purple corrupted art is shown right next to where a regular mermaid display once was, and near the bottom, it makes another appearance right alongside the old gods. This marks a clear difference between the Hall of Memories that shows the mermaids in their prime with the Descent into Madness, where the dark things the Titans fought against are displayed, maybe including corrupted mermaids. There is one more piece of speculation I'd like to indulge in here, and that is the nature of the mermaids and their abilities. One interesting idea to me is that it may have been difficult for the Forge of Wills to create such elegant swimmers with their agile tails out of hard rock and metal, so perhaps the Keepers were able to tweak the formula to produce a more dynamic body. While this would have had its benefits, perhaps this new form, something slightly closer to an organic being, is what the old gods could use to undermine the underwater legions and begin their tragic fall. This idea, along with the broader theory of the mermaids, could also roll forward into the old gods' future plans. Yogg'Saron would later secretly embed the Curse of Flesh into the Forge, causing all the Titan Forged to devolve into organic beings more susceptible to corruption. As for N'Zoth, ever fascinated by the deeps, he would have experienced the first prototype of an aquatic super soldier, maybe influencing his decision to later transform the powerful Highborn into the Naga that roam the seas of Azeroth to this day. The Mermaids of Ulduar are one of the most obscure mysteries in World of Warcraft, and while we can't say anything for certain here, I hope you enjoyed my take on this forgotten chapter in history. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, may the Force be with you.